How to max appeal in your fitness. Because the truth is that a lot of us who get into fitness and gym and everything can fall victim to gym culture. A lot of people are unbalanced and they think that just going to the gym is going to get the results that they want. Well, it's not. The truth is, if you go too much in any one direction, you start to become a bit saturated. You become provincial. You become one thing if you go too much into it. And that's really not what a lot of people are looking for, and that's not what you probably want. And I guarantee you right now, the way that you're training is overemphasizing a certain part and you're neglecting the whole, okay? The way that you actually take care of the whole and be more appealing and more attractive and actually aesthetic is by making sure you're training well-roundedly. A lot of fitness influencers are much older and, they kind of train for weight, they train for strength, they train for realistics. But the further you get in your gym journey, like your career to say, then you'll probably start to overemphasize. Like you probably start out getting really lean at first, and then after a while, you start to prioritize, getting more reps and getting bigger and bulkier. And that's how you get a lot of bodybuilders the way they are there, which is fine if that's their goal. But if you're trying to be more all-around appealing and aesthetic, then you're going to want to train much smarter. And the way you do that is by sort of balancing all of your stats. All right, when it comes to training, then the three major parts, and this is why I say you really don't want to go too much in one direction, because I said this before, a lot of bodybuilders, they train strength. That's good, that's really good. But, you start chasing the pump, you start chasing the steroids, and then your hair starts falling out. It's not a good look. A lot of runners, I've said, people have come at me. So I've stepped into the running terrain, and I posted on TikTok one time about how fast I was, and all these people saying, oh, rolled, and you're slow and everything. But then I clicked on their profiles, and they literally look like stick figures. They literally look like skinny and like twigs. Because they're not training, they don't train aesthetics. They train just purely performance and just running. Which is good, but just not too much. Because then you end up losing yourself if you go too hard in one thing. Then you need to be well balanced. This is sort of lie about like jack of all trades, master of none. When it's sort of meant to elicit, oh, it's bad to be well-rounded. Ooh. But I gotta say, it's way more founded that people want to be more well-rounded and just have an overall appealing look about them. You don't want to become a monster, you don't want to become a mongrel, but you want to have some muscle and you want to be athletic enough to still perform what you do. I got you. When it comes to training, there are four major parts. There's physique. Obviously, the reason most people get fitness, they want to have a good-looking physique. The way you do that is by strength training, resistance training of some sort. That's going to get the muscle activation. It's going to activate the hypertrophy in the muscles to get the muscles looking bigger. Training for performance is actually the other side of that. So you can actually get a nice looking body. It's what they call hot girl fit. You get a nice looking body, but then you try to run up a flight of stairs, it doesn't really work. That's what happens to a lot of older guys. And it's fine because they're older. But for us young guys, performance is still an important thing. Because you still want to perform, you want to play basketball, you want to run, cycle, do all those things, play with your kids when you get older, then of course you're going to want to performance. So you should be actually taking this into account when you're training. It was mobility, being able to move around. Now that sort of goes hand in hand with performance, but being much more mobile and agile is going to make your life much easier. And again, also it reduces the risk of injury. So that's why you do not go all too much in on, let's say, physique and just getting really strong as possible. You also want to make sure you're mobile and reducing injury. That also helps with performance. So you see how these all go hand in hand. And the fourth thing is sustainability. So how long can you keep this up for? How many years are you going to be able to do it? Because I imagine that you're going to be doing this when you're 30 years old. What about 40? What about 50? As the years go on, you're not going to want to fall off. I'm sure you didn't start this just to fall off. Sustainability is a really big factor. Now, the sort of build you want to cultivate, using all of these, is a 50% strength build. So like your 50% muscle. Speed is going to be 40%, so not as important, but you can sort of adjust the levers as you go. But just do not go too much in one direction. And then flexibility is about 10%. The flexibility is pretty easy once you get into it. Now, it's hard at the beginning, but it's pretty easy to maintain, and just being general overall flexible is going to help in you actually training strength and performance. As you can see, there's three different levers you can pull from: strength, speed, and flexibility. Those are the main three. These are the main three, I'd say, factors or powers within you. And these four are more so like pillars for like what your training should look like. What should it encompass? Physique, performance, mobility, and sustainability. Because you really don't want to go all in one area. I would say if I had to pick one, it would be physique. And I'm sure we prioritize physique. Just looking the best as possible. You can have a priority, which is your physique. But do not neglect performance, mobility, and sustainability, because they all work in tandem with each other to help you just level up as a person. This is the build. You sort of want if you want to max appeal, you want a sort of all-around build. And that's not to say that you're lacking in any one of the areas. It just means that you're good at all of them, and you can find actually a sweet spot in the middle. Now, of course, you are going to sacrifice looking like as big as possible. You can get really big, actually, and be mobile. It's possible if you train the right way. I actually explained how to do that in the Athletic Lifestyle, the bodybuilding course that I've created. It is in the description down below. I'll put a link to it down there. But I explained how to go for that. They can be big and move around as possible. But the thing is, speed, it is like sitting right below strength. So it's like 40%, strength is 50%. So there's just both as important. Now for all these levers, now I should say, there's some range here because you can adjust these levers as you want. Flexibility, as you notice, is a bit lower than the other two because it's just not that important. But if you two is more important, then it can go up a bit, but your strength is going to go down a bit. That's fine. It's just you don't want, there's a certain threshold. Do not let it go past here. So if you up speed to like, let's say 100%, do not let your strength fall below 50% of what the chart is right now. That is when you start to get into territory of you're going to look like a runner who lifts and not a lifter who runs. And trust me, there's a difference between those two. One is actually better than the other. You want to look like a lifter who runs sometimes, not a runner who lifts. Because, again, like I said, runners are prioritizing performance. And that is good for what they're doing, but your physique is going to suffer. And just be aware of this when you are training and pulling these different levels. But if you want to maintain a very athletic and aesthetic body, you're going to want to train like an athlete, because an athlete does look good without sacrificing their performance, because the way that they live their life is centered entirely around fitness and working out. They've got a good frame, they've got good sustainability, because obviously it's their sport, it's their job, and they also have really good physiques. And all of this is without compromising one part. So you want to find the balance in between these four and max appeal.